Hey, this is Mad Movie Mark with the Mad Movie Mark movie review. Thank you for joining me as I review the 1962 Japanese samurai Ronin action comedy Sanjuro.
まだバカな真似が一人いねえのか。
Hey, that's not nice. I like to think I give a fair review for every movie that I watch. I'm reviewing every movie that has 100% fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm giving them all a score of 1 to 10. After I watch them and score them all, I will rank them from worst to best. I started in the 1920 silent movie era, and now I'm at 1962 with Sanjuro. This movie has 100% fresh rating from the critics and a 95% fresh rating from the audience. It was directed by Kurosawa, stars Toshiro Mifune as Sanjuro, Tatsuya Nakati as Boruto, and Yuzo Kayama as Lori Izaka. Those last two actors are still alive today, which I think is pretty awesome. So I don't believe that this is Kurosawa's greatest movie he ever made. I think that that's probably Seven Samurai. But this is one of my favorite movies that he made. And it's just because I find it to be so hilarious. And it's not just because of the writing, it's not just because of directing, but Mifune is really the perfect actor for his role as Sanjuro. He plays a character that is not only fierce, someone that can be feared because of how great of a samurai, how great of a fighter he is, but also someone who is incredibly sarcastic, incredibly quick-witted, and just incredibly funny. And I think he does a really good job playing both of these roles, and it's something that maybe a lesser actor would not have been able to do. And Mifune, to me, is probably one of the greatest actors who ever lived, because if you watch this, you watch Seven Samurai, you watch The Bad Sleep Well, there are different roles that he's playing, especially in The Bad Sleep Well, and you just believe who he is. You believe that he's that character. You believe that he's that fierce, that he's that funny, that he's that witty, that he's that sarcastic, and it's just, he does an amazing job in this movie. And like I said, it's one of my favorite movies that Kurosawa did. So what this movie is about, when it first opens, we're introduced to 9 sort of junior samurais. They believe that the Lord Chamberlain is corrupt. Lord Chamberlain is an uncle of one of these samurais, and they believe that because they brought a letter to him describing the corruption, and he tore it up, and they immediately thought that something was awry. So they went to the superintendent Kukui, who said, "Oh yes, that's terrible. I think you're right. I think he is corrupt. Let's say we meet tonight at this house and we'll talk about it." So they agree to do this, and they're excited, and they think that they're going to uncover all this corruption and that they're going to really make a difference. Then enter Sanjuro, who was in the same room. He was just like sleeping drunkenly in a shadowed area off in the corner, and he comes up and he says, "Hey, I think that you got this all wrong. I think Kukui is the bad guy and Lord Chamberlain is the good guy." Now at first they don't believe him. Like, who is this drunken Ronin who's just like sloppily lying around? And who is this guy? He doesn't know anything.
まあ聞きな。俺に言わせりゃ、城代家老が本物で、その大目付の菊井ってやつは眉唾だぜ。
But then Sanjuro starts reasoning this out. And they say, you could be right, but we were supposed to meet Kukui tonight. And Sanjuro, of course, is alarmed by this. He looks out the window and he sees that they're surrounded by men.
見事に取り巻きやがった。アリの履いてる隙間もねえや。この上まだバカな真似がしてえのか。刀をしまいな。戦ごっこやってる場合じゃねえぜ。うるさい。そんな説だけ。じゃあ勝手にしろ。みんなくたばってせいぜい菊井を喜ばせることだ。
Now he's able to get them out of this situation through a bit of cunning, through a bit of wit, through experience, through, just know what he's doing. He's able to get his men out of the situation. He is approached by one of the superintendent's men, who is named Boruto. Now, Boruto is kind of like the guy who's in charge. He's the one who, at the end of the movie, will be like the last battle scene against, the last sword fight against. And he offers Sanjuro a job. He says, "Look, you seem to be really good at fighting. You've bested a few of my men. I want to give you a job here." Now, Sanjuro turns him down, and he ends up agreeing to work with the 9 junior samurais because he believes that they're way too green, that they are not going to be able to survive on their own. that their life is in danger from Kukui, and that possibly the Lord Chamberlain's life is in danger as well. Believing this, they go to Lord Chamberlain's house. He has been abducted by Moroto and his men, and has his wife, and as has his daughter. So now they start formulating this plan, how they're going to get these three people back. Sanjuro decides that they're going to stay in a hut that's located next to one of Moroto's men, because the best place to hide is right under someone's nose.
どっか危なくねえところで集まろうぜ。どっかいいとこはねえか。
この夜更けに奥方とお嬢さんを連れて相当食い行くのはない、俺の家はどうだろう。ここから一番近いし。
バカ言え。貴様の家は黒富士の家の隣じゃないか。黒富士って誰で？
例の乾物の一人です。自責があるをしている。
面白い。そこにしようじゃねえか。
And while they're there, they can kind of see what's going on. They can kind of get a lay of the land, decipher the movements of Moroto and his men, and come up with a plan to get everyone back. Eventually, later on in the movie, Sanjuro ends up joining Moroto and his men to kind of infiltrate and see the best way to, infiltrate them, get their confidence, and figure out what the best way is to get these three people back. This plan ends up going awry when the 9 samurai that he's working with think that they're... he didn't explain his plan to these 9 samurai, so they think that he's actually betraying them. Eventually everything works out. There's a final sword fight, which is absolutely fantastic, and the movie ends. So I don't want to give away too much with the ending of this movie, because it actually really is a quite a good ending. The last sword fight is not what you would expect. It ends very quickly, but it's pretty awesome. I would say, as far as like the amount of blood and excess there is. There's some funny parts. So this movie is hilarious. Like I said, a lot of it is with the clever, witty, sarcastic humor from Mifune. Most of the movie is about the 9 samurai having their own plans, having their own ideas, but their plans are usually like knee-jerk reactions, kind of not planned out type of things. They're not like really sitting around thinking about what they're doing and putting any thought, any planning into what they're doing. And then jumps in Sanjuro, who comes up with ideas. Now, the men, they never know whether they can rely on Sanjuro. They never know if they should believe him or not.
あいつ何をやり出すかわからん。化け物だぞありゃ。
There's a lot of instances where they do believe him, then they don't believe him, then they do believe him, then they don't believe him. They think that his ideas are somewhat absurd. A lot of his ideas seem so simple, and I think that they're looking for more like complex strategies and complex ideas about what should be done. And he's like, no, let's just stay at the hut next to Maruto, because that's the best place to hide. So the back and forth banter between the 9 samurai and between Sanjuro is absolutely amazing. There's also some comedy bits with the Lord Chamberlain's wife. She asks Sanjuro at one point, like, please try to spare the violence. Don't do too much violence. We don't need a lot of people killed.
でもあまり手荒なことはなさらないように。
We want to make this like as easy as possible. And then Sanjuro later is cornered into like a situation where he has to kill like 12 people. And then afterwards, he's upset because he like went against what the mother wanted, and he said, "Oh, why did I have to kill so many people for?" And it's just, I mean, it's a really funny movie. I'm someone who loves sarcastic comedy. My dad is incredibly sarcastic. I got that from him, and the comedy in this movie is just fantastic. The acting is really amazing. The story is quite simple. I have this movie on Blu-ray, and it looks stunning. It looks spectacular. Cinematography with Kurosawa is always amazing. The script is just hilarious, and it's a simple script, but he was able to do so much with it. He was able to make it so intriguing. He was able to make it so funny, and there's moments where it's actually really tense and suspenseful too, because there's actual situations where these people are in harm's way, and you don't know, is Sanjuro going to be able to get them out of this situation? Because at no point do you think that the 9 junior samurai are going to be able to fight, that they're going to be any good at it. So it's really like Sanjuro is fighting for all 10 people, and is he able to do it? Of course, because he's a great samurai, because he's a great fighter, and there's some scenes where he's so sarcastic and he's almost comes off like as a bit lazy, and he comes off as drunk, and then when he starts fighting you realize, oh yeah, this guy is a fantastic fighter. I totally forgot because he's so funny. Fantastic job by Mifune. This is probably my favorite movie with Mifune. I like Seven Samurai, but there were so many other like big actors around him and so many other important roles around him. I mean, he was one of the like most important people in the movie, but there were so many other leaders and so many other big part players that I thought he kind of got lost in the shuffle at times. And Sanjuro is definitely my favorite movie with him. One of my favorite foreign language films of all time, to be perfectly honest, and it's just because of how funny it is. And when I first saw this movie, I had no idea it was a comedy. I went into it thinking it was like a Kurosawa, Seven Samurai, epic battle type of thing. And when I realized how funny it was, I thought, wow, like Mifune can really do anything. Kurosawa can really do anything. He can make it compelling, and he can just make it fantastic. And yeah, there's not a lot I have to say about this movie. Besides that, I thought it was great, and I give it a 10 out of 10. It'll definitely probably be in my top 10 movies when I end up releasing the full list, but absolutely amazing. I love Sanjuro. 10 out of 10. Thank you. I hope you join me for my next review, which is going to be I Am Cuba. Have a great day.